ESPN, and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Hump Day Wednesday edition of the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN FM. 97.3 ESPN mobile app. We are live as always on YouTube and Twitter, where you can join the conversation on a multitude of platforms. Phillies Offense does absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, of course, the Eagles have joint practices this week with the New York Jets. So we got a lot to get to here on the show. It's a Weinberg Wednesday. Dave Weinberg will join us coming up at 6:20 to talk more about the Eagles and other sports topics from around the region. And, of course, here on Game Night, we'd like to hear from you guys as well. Text board is open. 609-403-0973 is the text board. 609-403-0973. Direct message the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Thanks to First Bank of Sea City. Download the 97.3 ESPN mobile app for free from the Apple App Store or from Google Play. Take 97.3ESPN.com wherever you go with the 97.3 ESPN app, and, of course, direct message the show. And all of you watching on YouTube and Twitter, of course, you could join the conversation as well. Just follow at 973 ESPN to watch the show. Before we get to the Philly stuff, I want to get to some of the Eagles news and notes first, because there are a few things that we do need to get to with the Eagles, because it was definitely an interesting day when it came to news. And I got to start with something that Mike Gill mentioned a little bit earlier, and that is, I'm noticing that a lot of people are, and it's not everyone, okay? So this is not a universal problem, okay? This is a too many people problem, all right? There's too many people who only read a headline or only read part of a quote, and they don't have no context for the rest of what happened. And this is what we're talking about. So Nick Sirianni spoke to the media today, and he was asked about the left tackle situation. And one of the things that was mentioned, he said, listen, I'm not naming a starter. Andre Dillard just came back. And people are making a big deal about that. But I'm here to tell you to stop. It's not worth making a big deal about, and here is why. Nick Sirianni also said later in the press conference, he came out and said, look, guys, you see who's running with the ones. You see who's running with the twos. And as of right now, whoever we have running with the ones is the guy that we think is going to be the starter. So with that being said, Nick Sirianni just told you, without overtly saying so-and-so is the starter, who is starting for this football team. He's telling you outright, well, Jordan Mailata has taken all the starters with the ones for weeks now. Jalen Hurts has taken all the snaps with the ones the entire training camp. So as a result, we already know who the expected starters are. Dillard is the expected starter with left tackle, and Jalen Hurts is the expected starter at quarterback. But because there are people who want to make headlines and want to sensationalize things, and they want to be intellectually dishonest, they want to manipulate you, they want to manipulate me, they want to manipulate everyone out there about what's really going on, all right? The reality is that these players know exactly who's starting. The coaches know who's starting. But because there are people who cover this team who are more interested in getting clicks for their website than they are about being fair and honest reporters, they want to trick you into clicking on their thing and reacting to it. Now, I have no interest in doing that. That is not my style. I don't care to play those games. Now, if you choose to be someone who literally reacts your entire life to a headline and never actually reads deeper into a story than the first paragraph or the synopsis of the story, then you yourself are shortchanging yourself and everyone around you. The reality is that the Eagles are trying to trade Dillard, or at least keep his market value high enough that he would be worth trading. Because there are multiple reports out there that teams have called about Andre Dillard. This has been confirmed by multiple people who covered the Eagles in the NFL. If the Eagles have a chance to get something in return for a guy who has limitations, then you do it. Now, what do I mean by limitations? Well, remember, Dillard himself said that he doesn't like to play right tackle. And we saw the one game he played at right tackle, he was horrible. So at this point in time, he can't play the other tackle. He can't play the two guard positions. So he literally is a backup left tackle. And we know that Jeff Stoutland loves his offensive linemen to have versatility. So with that being understood, that's why Dillard's being shot. But that's also why the Eagles don't want to not name anyone as starter. Because if they name anyone as starter, then it might belittle Dillard's value in trades. Listen, you may or may not like the hiring of Nick Sirianni. You may or may not like how he treats preseason. You may or may not like how Howie Roseman handles his business. You may or may not like a lot of things with the Eagles. But the one thing I think any rational individual can agree on is if you have a chance to get some sort of value in return for a guy who literally can only play one position on the offensive line, then why not take that chance? Why not try to get that value going? Why not try to incentivize somebody to give you a little more than they were willing to give you originally? Josh Hennig here on GameNight on 97.3 ESPN. Text board is open, 609-403-0973. Direct message show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle City. And, of course, we are live on YouTube and Twitter. Speaking of Howie Roseman, the other thing is, so you may or may not have seen this article from, or at least you might have seen the headline. This is another example of you might see a headline, but you don't know all the details. So, story came out this week. The Athletic, which does great journalism, okay? There's not much good journalism out there in the sports world anymore. And The Athletic is one of the few last bastions of real journalism on the internet. And they surveyed 33 agents about a numerous amount of topics, about the Aaron Rodgers situation, about the NFLPA, about how the NFL handles things, about different players and coaches. So one of the questions they asked these agents was, among the GMs or front office leaders, whom do you trust the least? There were two people who got the most votes. One got 7 votes, one got 6 votes. For those of you who may not be great at math, that's 13. So 13 out of the 33 votes were literally 2 people. And then Joe Douglas himself got 3 votes. Brian Flores got 2 votes. Everyone else got 1. But 13 of the 33 agents asked, of who do you trust the least? Name 2 people the most. Howie Roseman got 7 votes. Bill Belichick got 6 votes. Now, without the context I gave you, again, there are some sleazy, intellectually dishonest, clickbait people. Trying to watch my language here because I have a desire to use different adjectives here, but I'm trying to be professional here. But there are people who are trying to put out there, Howie Roseman's the most hated GM, or Howie Roseman's the least trusted GM, when there's a lack of context. Because Howie Roseman got 7 votes. Bill Belichick got 6 votes. You know what Bill Belichick and Howie Roseman have in common? They both have Super Bowl rings. You know what they don't have in common? Bill Belichick's going to the Hall of Fame, and he's considered a football guy, and Howie Roseman is considered by a group of football fans to be a capologist, doesn't know football. So people want ammunition to hate Howie Roseman. But yet almost the same number of people considered Bill Belichick the least trustworthy. And the Athletic notes at the end of that question, note, Belichick received the most votes in this category last year. So last year, the future Hall of Famer, 6-time Super Bowl champion with the Patriots, 2-time Super Bowl champion as a D coordinator for the New York Giants, last year was considered the least trustworthy GM. And this year he falls 1 vote short of Howie Roseman. See, that kind of changes the perspective now. Now, instead of being intellectually dishonest, now instead of being carried away by our emotions, now instead of just people losing their mind on social media because they are just too lazy to read, now we actually know what's really going on here. Because when I read you some of these quotes for the reasons why he was voted the GM they trust the least, it sounds very different than the salacious headlines that have been out there. Quote, Roseman's always playing both sides all times. He's not dishonest. He's a hedger. Always make sure he has a side deal, unquote. That doesn't sound like the guy everybody hates. Here's another quote. Howie will do what Howie needs to do. I say that with tremendous reverence, but I don't trust him. So hold on. This agent respects Howie, but he doesn't trust him. Okay? Here's another quote. This is easy. Howie tells you one thing and does the opposite. You can tell him something and say it stays with us, and then 3 or 4 people are hitting me up what we discussed. It doesn't make him a bad guy, but there's no transparency, unquote. So it sounds like these are 3 individuals who are quoted in this article who have had experiences dealing with Howie Roseman that cause them not to trust him, but none of those 3 individuals say they hate him, they dislike him, he's not a bad guy, he's not dishonest. But again, when you create ammunition for the haters, they're going to be like mosquitoes and latch on to anything they can suck the blood out of. And in this case, it has to be Howie Roseman. Now, look, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Anybody who's heard me here on 97.3 ESPN over the last few years, I don't love Howie Roseman. I don't hate Howie Roseman. I don't think he's the best GM. I don't think he's the worst. I try to come on here with this microphone and give you facts and information. I come on here to be objective, and all of my opinions I try to base on information I have found. But when I'm telling you that you cannot trust some of these salacious headlines and this intellectually dishonest vomit that is on the internet, I'm doing it because you could all save us all some hassle. Text board is open, 609-403-0973. 609-403-0973. Texter says, Josh, keep Dillard at left tackle, his second most important position on the field. We saw what happened last year. Not worth trading him for a 5th or 6th round pick. Keep in mind, he is a finesse left tackle with very good footwork. He can still be serviceable as a backup, albeit at one position. Texter, I don't disagree with you. All right, Texter, I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying that I understand why the Eagles are doing what they're doing. if you want to keep a guy because you feel like you'd rather have a competent backup in Dillard than hope that Brett Toth or LaRaven Clark are going to be good enough, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that rationalization. I'm fine with that working theory. I'm fine with that way of looking at things. I'm not against it. I don't hate it at all. And I'm very well aware that he is a finesse left tackle. Listen, I thought that Dillard, when he was the number one tackle in his draft 2019, he was number one tackle drafted that year. I thought that he could be a good NFL left tackle because of his footwork. And because we are in a passing league now, I assumed that because of his background being a very good pass blocker, that he could step in and be the Eagle starter in a couple of years. But because of injuries that derailed him completely, and because of things that were out of his control with injuries, you can't always control injuries, right? Biceps, different things, it's just, things happen. I think that's been what's derailed him, and the fact that he's been Wally pipped by Jordan Mailata, who has a greater potential and has a higher ceiling than me than Dillard does because of his physicality, because of his aptitude to learn, and because of his desire to work hard. That's all. All right, we'll get more into the Eagles. Coming up next, Dave Weinberg for a Weinberg Wednesday here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. And we are live on YouTube and Twitter here in the Matt Black Kia Studios. I'm Josh Hennig, and this is Game Night.
Today, the hunt for October continues on ESPN Radio.
Gone! Max Muncy delivers an opposite field two-run shot.
It's a showdown in the National League West when the red-hot Los Angeles Dodgers head to Petco Park in San Diego to face Fernando Tatis Jr. and the Padres.
God! Home run, Fernando Tatis.
The Dodgers and Padres. Coverage begins tonight at 9:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Listen to Major League Baseball on 97.3 ESPN.
On some models, excludes core bet with GM financing, excludes price sale. See dealer for details.
Have you seen what some dealers are now charging for new cars and used vehicles? It's outrageous. But at Bennett Chevrolet, you still pay what GM supplier employees pay for brand new Chevys. Plus, Bennett gives you all the rebates. That's not either or, you get both. And that can save you up to 25% off MSRP. And Bennett has 0% financing available to save you even more. Got a trade? Bennett's paying top dollar. And we mean top dollar. A minimum $7,000 towards any pre-owned in stock. That's a minimum $7,000 for any old clunker you can tow to our lot. And if it's in good shape, we'll pay more. And we'll buy your vehicle even if you don't buy one of ours. And Bennett makes it so easy. No sales pressure, no negotiating, just pure joy. Because our non-commissioned sales staff is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. So you can see why nobody beats Bennett Chevrolet. Nobody. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
"5G is here, but the big carrier..."
GMS Law is proud to celebrate 50 years in business.
Hi, I'm Joel Chipkin, and I'm a certified civil trial attorney at GMS Law. While many significant changes have occurred within the legal system over the years, one thing that remains the same is our belief that the client comes first, all the time, every time.
Make the right call to GMS Law. Call us at 609-344-7131. That's 609-344-7131. Or visit us online at gmslaw.com.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Josh Hennig back here on Game Night, 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app. We are live as always on YouTube and Twitter where you can watch the show. Get back to your thoughts and comments in just a bit on the text board, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, and on YouTube and Twitter. As we do each and every Wednesday here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. It's a Weinberg Wednesday, and Dave Weinberg joins the show each week here on 97.3 ESPN. There he is, live in virtual living color. Dave, how you doing today?
I'm sweating, Josh. I don't know about you. It's really hot out today.
Well, I was sweating this morning, but apparently at a certain point in the afternoon, just to kind of pull the curtain back, someone in the building decides to crank up the air conditioning. So I have a hoodie with me. So I was freezing for about an hour and a half after sweating earlier this morning. So
hoodie, my goodness, that must have been cold.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. I like the medium, Dave, when I'm indoors. Like when I'm indoors, I don't want it too hot. I don't want it too cold. I kind of like that like middle ground. And it's like I don't understand how people love like these super extreme temperature swings.
Yeah, well, I used to like the heat, not so much anymore. But I'll take the heat over extreme cold, though. You can always take some clothes off if you need to, so to speak. So, but yeah, I'm with you. I like it like a little bit in the middle.
So speaking of the middle, Dave, I opened the show talking about this. You know, people are reacting to Nick Sirianni because we live in a world people all they do is they read a headline and that's all they know, right? And I thought the second part of what Sirianni said today is which was important, Dave, which was he told the media, look, who we have starting with the ones is who's we expect to start.
Right.
So to me, Sirianni told you exactly who is starting. He just told you that Hurts, who's taken every first snap at quarterback, is your starter. And then Mailata, who's taken every snap with the first team for 3 straight weeks now, is the starter. I don't understand why people are losing their minds because Sirianni opened the quote by saying that he wasn't going to name a starter at this moment in time.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much written in stone here now. I mean, not permanently, but yeah, he made it pretty clear. I think he did kind of waffle a little bit, it seemed like, with Mailata and Dillard. Kind of seemed like they want to leave the door open for Andre to maybe win that job down the road. But as of now, like you said, Jordan's taking every snap at the one, so he is the starting left tackle. And I'd be really, really surprised if he wasn't in the starting lineup against Atlanta on September 12th.
I said earlier, Dave, I think the reason why they're playing this verbiage game with Dillard is because I think that we know that teams are calling the Eagles to trade him, and I think the Eagles are trying to escalate his trade value, which honestly, if you can get a good pick or player in return for Dillard, I'm not going to begrudge the Eagles for doing that.
No, absolutely not. I mean, first-round draft pick, he's going to command something. I think there is something there. He just hasn't come out yet. I mean, as far as his talent goes. But you're right. I mean, Mailata has been pretty impressive. And as you heard Sirianni say, Andre's had an excellent camp, which I find very hard to believe. But, yeah, that's just pumping up the player, trying to increase his draft, his trade value. And if you're right, if they can get like a fourth or a third for him, then go ahead and do it.
And when I say this, I think people might misunderstand when I say this, Dave. But to me, I don't hate Dillard, okay? I don't hate people, like that. You know what I mean? He's a football player. He didn't do nothing wrong to me or you or anybody else. But my position is that I just know that Jeff Stoutland seems to like guys who have more versatility than he does. And when you have a left tackle who only can play one position, I feel like that may be lower on the Jeff Stoutland tier of guys that he prefers.
Probably. I mean, he does value versatility, like you said. He wants guys that can play both sides, or maybe even like inside and outside. Left tackle, though, I think you probably want somebody that's more specific to that position if you can. So for that reason, I would think you might want to keep Andre as an insurance policy because left tackle is so valuable. But yeah, you're right. I mean, they would prefer someone who could play both sides, but I don't know if that's the reason they would trade Andre. I just think that because of his trade value, they would try to get rid of him. But I don't think it has anything to do with his versatility. I'm not sure, but
gotcha. Dave Weinberg joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN at Dave Weinberg 19 on Twitter. Extra point columns at 97.3ESPN.com. Dave, obviously the game on Thursday was a dumpster fire because it just became a domino. It was like an avalanche. You know, one thing happens, everything else happens, and people lose their minds. But I want to ask you about the bigger picture about it, which is Sirianni is joining this group of people out there who claim that they get more value out of the joint practices than the preseason games because they can control scenarios. What do you think about this growing trend that more and more coaches don't value actual game action in the preseason?
I can kind of see their point as far as you want to get the backups as much exposure as you can, or you want to maybe see if maybe there's another team that's interested in those guys. But I know you've probably talked about this before ad nauseum, but I don't understand just because Jalen Hurts didn't play, why do you have to sit everybody else? I don't see where one had to do with the other. Your offensive line still needs to work together as much as possible. I thought Miles Sanders deserved to run behind the first string offensive line if he could. Joe Flacco even deserved a shot at dropping back to pass with a little bit of protection once in a while. I didn't understand it at all. I get the value of the joint practices. There is something to that, I guess, but I don't think anything replaces being out there. Some fans in the stands, your adrenaline is pumped up a little bit more than it would be in a practice. I think both should be a part of your training camp regimen.
Do you think that the fear of people getting injured has started debilitating people's ability to be proper evaluators?
That could be. I mean, it does seem like there's more injuries, but injuries are always part of the game, Josh. I mean, I think you still have to put them out there against competition and see how they can perform. I mean, I don't see how you can maybe in your quarterback. That's obviously a different scenario. But although I do think Jalen should play at least a quarter against the Jets, because he hasn't hardly played at all. So I think you need to get him out there to get a little bit of game action under his belt. But as far as the other guys, I can see the value of maybe sitting them a little bit rather than risking some injury, because that is a possibility. But, I mean, you can get injured in practice just as easily, though.
Right. And my position is I know the Eagles don't think the way I do. So I'm very well aware that my opinion does not reflect the views or perspective of the Philadelphia Eagles. But I just feel like you can't simulate game action.
No,
you know what I mean?
You cannot.
So to me, if this Friday, they won't have any more football games for 2 weeks.
Right.
So that means you're going to go into this Atlanta game with the only thing you've done is joint practices and 11-on-11s in practice. And I understand people do it in college all the time, but in college, your job is not football. It's just a part of what you do as a student athlete. To me, this is your job. And it's hard for me to tell somebody, hey, I'm going to get the best version of you if I haven't seen you actually get reps at doing that.
Yeah, you're right. There is no substitute for actual game action. You need to be out there. It doesn't have to be the whole game. It doesn't have to be a whole half, but a quarter and a half, something to just get that feeling of playing football again against an opponent. And joint, you can have all the joint practices you want. They're still structured. They're still not quite the same as being out there in the stadium with people and the adrenaline, like I said, pumping. I think there's something to be said. You need to have some preseason action under your belt before the regular season starts, especially now where there's only 3 preseason games. Like you mentioned, they're going to have like 2 weeks before the season's over. There's a lot of rust that can build up in that spot in that span.
Absolutely. Dave Weinberg joining us for another edition of Weinberg Wednesday here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Dave, last week was a bit of a sombering moment in terms of high school basketball because we have not one but two very, very long-time staples of South Jersey high school basketball stepping down. Tom Farraco from Middle Township and now Dave DeWeese from Wildwood Catholic. I mean, these are two guys they're synonymous with South Jersey basketball. So to me, it's very surprising to have it happen all at one time. It's like when it rains, it pours.
Yeah, I guess it's just a changing of the guard, maybe because of what happened last year. The uncertainty of this season, it seems like that's cropping up. Maybe they just had enough. And as I think I mentioned last week, I'm pretty close to both of those guys, dating back to our high school careers together. I played against Tom baseball when he played for Wildwood Catholic. I was a pitcher for Lower Cape May, and then Dave DeWeese went to Wildwood High, and I played against him as well. So I've known those guys for both a long time. Both tremendous coaches, both tremendous people. And, it's sad to see them go, but I wish them all the best in their future endeavors. And maybe it is time. Maybe it is time for some of the younger guys to step up and have their turn in the spotlight.
I just would like to see whoever steps up get the opportunity to have sustained time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because one of my concerns with today's world is people's impatience. People are so impatient in today's world. Like, if most people don't know about the histories of some of the best coaches, how they had losing records or they had to go through down times. People only know the success. So to me, I just hope that whoever is given the opportunity that after 3 years is like, this guy did it, get him out of here. I just hope that the school and the parents and the communities of these schools give the people who are stepping in an opportunity to have that success long term.
Right. Give them an opportunity to make their own imprint on the program. It's going to be very difficult to follow Tom and Dave because they're right, the success that they enjoyed. But they struggled also when they first started out, like any young coach would. And they need the time. They deserve the opportunity to have a few years to build the program back up, make their instill their philosophies and their strategies, and then see what happens. But you're right. There's so many people that they're so quick to make a judgment on people, and it's a shame on the high school level in particular because the players are changing all the time, and you need the time to just build your program the way you want to build it. And it may not be the same as Tom and Dave, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to have success. And by the way, don't be surprised if Lamar Greer is Middle Township's head coach.
And that would probably be a good choice, honestly, because of the fact that the other thing I was going to say is, Dave, you know better than anybody covering South Jersey high school sports for as long as you have been being in this area, how important it is to have relationships in this area. We have school choice now. Wildwood Catholic can recruit from anybody in the region, right? For someone like
you
Wildwood
said it,
Catholic,
I didn't.
Hey, I will say I've been saying this, and no one's told me I'm wrong, so I'm just going to keep saying it. Okay,
you're not.
The point is that these kids and these parents can send these kids where they want to, and
true.
These schools. The part of having the coach is being a face and developing relationships in the region, the community. So you need to give these people time, whoever they are, whether it is Greer or somebody else, to say, I'm the coach. I'm here long term. You can trust me with your sons.
Right. I mean, there is something, I guess, to be said for hiring maybe a former player from your program or an assistant coach under that coach to try and maybe just maintain a sense of stability. But on the other hand, maybe you want a fresh approach. Maybe you want somebody from the outside who has no ties to the program, and maybe they can try something different and maybe get the team, the town and the team excited again. I guess there's two ways to look at it, but either way, like you said, whoever comes in, they deserve the opportunity to instill make their own mark and not have to rely on like what happened in the past, but to try to just instill their philosophies for the present and hopefully the future too.
Well, it's funny you said that because also, over at Wildwood Catholic, an example of someone they brought in from quote unquote the outside was Steve DePatry for the girls basketball team. He was at Sacred Heart for all those years, right?
Yes.
He goes to Wildwood Catholic and even has just as much, if not better, success. So you could argue that sometimes, yes, you do need a fresh set of eyes to come in there in order to make sure that you do what you want with the program, because it's not just about winning, it's about the culture these people bring in.
Oh, absolutely right. And then Steve's a perfect example of that, like you said. Although, I mean, he was helped by bringing a few guys. A few players along from when Sacred Heart closed with him. Kennedy Johnson being a notable example. That kind of helped him. That helped him transition too. I mean, it helped him sustain a little bit of success, take what Sacred Heart had been able to do and bring it over to Wildwood Catholic. But in the meantime, in the subsequent years, he's established a definite winning program, and more credit to him. And you're right. If you can get a guy, it doesn't matter like where they come from, but if they are able to give them the opportunity and people have patience with them, let them build things the way they think that it should be built, then you're going to have success, I think.
Dave, another a local thing that you were involved in recently, the Atlantic City Basketball Hall of Fame inductions over the weekend.
Boxing, not basketball.
Sorry, boxing, sorry. Basketball, okay. Boxing, it's all B words in my head at this point.
No, I understand.
I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, but anyway.
That's okay.
The point is that Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame, obviously you were a part of that. Tell the folks about what that was like and some of the things you observed over the weekend.
Oh, fantastic event, Josh. Ray McCline, who's the president of the Boxing Hall of Fame, he does a fantastic job, and it gets just getting bigger and better every year. This was the 5th induction ceremony. They combined the classes of 20 and 21, so you had some of the best in town last weekend. Tito Trinidad, Roy Jones Jr., Kelly Pavlik, who was a very famous name in Atlantic City boardwalk boxing era. So you had some. It was a fantastic event. They had it at the Hard Rock Soundwaves Arena for the first time. And I personally thought that was terrific. I've never been there before, and I'd always been to like fights and concerts at the Edis Arena. The Soundwaves drew a terrific crowd, great atmosphere, really exciting, and more importantly, the guys who were inducted, they were generally excited and thrilled to be a part of it, and that's what it's all about.
I know for me, watching the Pro Football Hall of Fame a couple of weeks ago, having the two classes, one on Saturday, one on Sunday, it was so much that you felt like you had to condense everything, because they told even Peyton Manning joked about he had to condense his speech a little bit, for being up there. Was there a sense of them having to like fit everybody in over the weekend over to Atlantic City?
Kinda, yeah. It was there was a lot of people, and a lot of people wanted to make speeches, which they certainly deserve to. But yeah, they tried to limit it to 2 minutes if they could. Not many people stuck to that. So, I mean, there was some entertaining, it was entertaining in the beginning, and, a lot of people, they made some people laugh and told some touching stories, but then after a while, it started to I don't want to say drag on a little bit, but it was kind of getting long. And, yeah, it's really tough when you have two classes into one, but, I don't know how the way to do it. Maybe you just have one induction on Saturday, one on Sunday, but I don't know if that would work either. So hopefully they'll be back to normal next year and just be one class.
Well, it feels like as each month goes by, we're getting a little bit of tiny back of normalcy back in the world, at least. So, Dave Weinberg.
So.
Yeah, well, I mean, I try to be positive with that.
Yep,
yep. I think at the end of the day, people, listen, we're at a point right now, and people are doing this milk crate challenge, and I think this is probably going to kill more people than anything else. This thing is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I mean,
I don't know anything about it. I stopped paying attention after the ice bucket challenge. I did that one, but that was my limit.
people can look it up, but basically the way it works is people are stacking milk crates in a stairs of like a triangle with a peak coming down. So you have to walk up the milk crates and then walk back down the other side.
Why?
Because some idiot did it on social media, and now there's all these videos now of people falling and breaking their arms and hurting themselves trying to do this milk crate challenge, and it's actually kind of pathetic.
Yeah, I'll pass on that one.
Yeah, I
have enough time walking down the sidewalk as it is.
Listen, I've had enough injuries from sports. I don't need to hurt myself on purpose, okay?
You and me both, yeah.
He's Dave Weinberg at Dave Weinberg 19. Check out all of his extra point columns over at 973ESPN.com. Don't forget the Tequila and Touchdowns with Dave Weinberg podcast as well. And he joins us each week here on Wednesday on 97.3 ESPN. Dave, go drink some extra water, okay?
Yeah, I actually have my grandkids with me at the moment, so we got to go get some ice cream before I go home. But that'll cool me off too.
That'll cool you off, but you still want a little extra water just to replenish. So
we'll do. You do the same.
I got it right behind me, right over there. So
alrighty.
Take care of yourself,
Dave.
Dave.
I appreciate it.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Always good to talk with Dave Weinberg on Wednesdays here on 97.3 ESPN. We'll get back to your thoughts and comments. Text board is open, 609-403-0973. To get on the conversation, 609-403-0973. We're also live on YouTube and Twitter, where you can join the conversation as you watch over there at 97.3 ESPN. And you can text the show through 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Priority messaging thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle City.
This is the radio home for Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles finish the 2021 preseason this Friday night against the New York Jets.
Takes the snap. Here comes the rush. Let's go. Complete into the end zone. Touchdown, Zucker.
Maryland Mike call all the action starting at 7:30. This is where the Eagles play. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's Eagles station.
On some models, excludes core bet with GM financing, excludes price sale. See dealer for details.
Have you seen what some dealers are now charging for new cars and used vehicles? It's outrageous. But at Bennett Chevrolet, you still pay what GM supplier employees pay for brand new Chevys. Plus, Bennett gives you all the rebates. That's not either or, you get both. And that can save you up to 25% off MSRP. And Bennett has 0% financing available to save you even more. Got a trade? Bennett's paying top dollar. And we mean top dollar. A minimum $7,000 towards any pre-owned in stock. That's a minimum $7,000 for any old clunker you can tow to our lot. And if it's in good shape, we'll pay more. And we'll buy your vehicle even if you don't buy one of ours. And Bennett makes it so easy. No sales pressure, no negotiating, just pure joy. Because our non-commissioned sales staff is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. So you can see why nobody beats Bennett Chevrolet. Nobody. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
GMS Law is proud to celebrate 50 years in business.
Hi, I'm Rob Stachini, and I'm a certified civil trial attorney at GMS Law. As one of the largest and most established litigation law firms in Southern New Jersey, we're committed to our roles as legal advisors, counselors, and litigators. It's our belief that the client comes first, all the time, every time.
Make the right call to GMS Law. Call us at 609-344-7131. That's 609-344-7131. Or visit us online at gmslaw.com.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Josh Hennig back here on Game Night, 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Thanks to First Bank of Seattle City. It is free. Google Play Store, Apple Store, wherever you get your app for your smartphone. Of course, we are live on YouTube and Twitter at 973 ESPN. As always, you can join the show conversation. Text board is 609-403-0973. Direct message to the show through the 973 ESPN mobile app. It's free. Thanks to First Bank of Seattle City. And as always, we are live on YouTube and Twitter. I told you guys earlier I would get to the Phillies, and I didn't get to it in the first segment, so I'm going to get to some of that here. So, the Phillies have their second game versus Tampa tonight, and Zach Wheeler is pitching tonight. And it's hard to say a team has to win a game on August 25th, but I think tonight is a game that if they don't win, it's a horrible look, and here's why. You had an opportunity tonight with Zach Wheeler going on the mound to win a game. Every time this year that Wheeler has walked to the mound, he has put this team in a position to win. He has put them in a position to be successful. But as we saw last night in the 3-1 loss, this offense has just been inconsistent beyond belief. And I don't understand how. I don't understand why. At some point, these players, I don't know if they're in their own heads. I don't know if they're trying too hard. I don't know if they're over swinging, underswinging. I don't know what the problem is. But as usual, every game the Phillies lose in the last 2 weeks, Girardi changes the lineup. He tries to run another scenario out there. So tonight, he's putting Segura back in the 1 spot, Romuto in the 2. He's putting Freddie Galvis in the lineup to start because they got a left-handed pitcher for the Rays tonight in Yarborough. And he's got Luke Williams in center field. It's all right-handers except for Harper in the lineup against the lefty for Tampa. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't care how many lefties or righties are in the lineup. That's all matchups and analytics and all that stuff. What I care about is how this baseball team gets Rhys Hoskins back on Sunday. They score 7 runs for the first time since August 5th. They get one stinking day off, and they come home, and they score 1 run. I mean, did you forget how to hit? Did you forget how to play baseball? Your pitching staff is no longer the problem. Remember, for months, we were worried about the bullpen, about the starters, and this and that. And now, all of a sudden, it looks like the problem is no longer the pitching. The problem is the hitting. And that's really frustrating. Because I was told by the head of this baseball team, Dave Dombrowski, back in July, he said to John Clark of NBC Sports Philadelphia that he believes that this team can out-hit any pitching or defensive issues. And now all of a sudden, the hitting has been the problem for multiple weeks now, for multiple games, and the pitching is no longer the problem. Yeah, the defense has these ugly black eyes still every once in a while. But with Zach Wheeler going tonight, I'm not worried about Zach Wheeler. I'm not really that worried about the bullpen. I'm worried about why this team scored 1 run last night. And I understand it's 1 game out of 162. But you now have had multiple games where you can't score 3 or 4 runs. You had trouble scoring runs against the worst team in the National League in Arizona. You had trouble scoring runs against a barely above average pitching staff with the Reds. And now against Tampa, you lost 3-1 because of your hitting. It's just unacceptable to me. It's unacceptable that this game is literally coming down to me having to wonder if Bryce Harper, Gene Segura, GT Realmuto, and all these hitters are actually going to make solid contact or uppercut the ball into a pop-up in the middle of the infield. Josh Hennig here on Game Night, all 97.3 ESPN. Again, that Phillies lineup tonight. Segura, Realmuto, Harper, Hoskins, McCutchen, Galvis at short, Torreyes at third, Luke Williams in center, and Zach Wheeler against Yarborough and Tampa. See, the Phillies, this is split the difference for Tampa tonight. We'll talk about tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN. Let's squeeze in one message before we get out of here. Texter says, maybe it's a lack of trust from Uncle Joe. You can't bench a wideout for a game for dropping a pass. Yeah, man, I don't understand this thing. You know, they benched Odubel Herrera a few days ago after he had a home run. I understand you want to go heavy right-handed hitters against a left-handed pitcher, but I don't know if it's a lack of trust from Joe. It's just Joe doesn't know what to do. I think Joe's running out of ideas at this point. All right, I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. Have a great night, and I'll catch you tomorrow here on 97.3 ESPN.
Hey, South Jersey, this is Billy Schweim. Tune into The Locker Room every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN. Each weekend in The Locker Room, you will get passionate sports talk from a fan's perspective, along with interviews with some of the biggest names in sports. That's every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon in The Locker Room with me, Billy Schweim, on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, because nothing could be finer than talking sports with a Schweiner.